Have you ever met someone whose energy could light up an entire room? Phoenix Spencer Horn, lovingly called Fee by her friends, was that kind of person. At just 21, Phoenix was already making her mark. She worked multiple jobs waitressing at the Strathaven Hotel and serving coffee at local cafes, but it was her infectious personality that made her unforgettable. Phoenix wasn't just hardworking. She was a beacon of positivity, always lifting others up even during tough times. Her colleagues described her as someone who could brighten anyone's day, no matter how difficult the shift. Phoenix's kindness and warmth made her popular among everyone she met, and she always went out of her way to make sure others felt valued. But as Phoenix was carving out a promising future, she didn't realize that the very relationship she thought was her source of love and support was slowly becoming her greatest burden. Phoenix's boyfriend, Ewan Medhan, seemed like the perfect match. He was polite, respectful, and affectionate. He fit well into Phoenix's life and quickly became a trusted part of her family. But, as with many relationships, things began to change over time. What seemed like innocent complaints about her work schedule slowly turned into deeper frustrations. Ewan started voicing his loneliness whenever Phoenix worked late shifts, but it was just the beginning of something much darker. What happens when love starts to feel more like control? Could Phoenix have known she was walking into danger? At first, Phoenix thought Ewan's complaints were harmless. He was just missing her company, and she did her best to reassure him. However, his frustrations grew more frequent and intense. He began to demand more of her time, criticizing her busy work schedule and making her feel guilty for working hard to support herself. At first, it seemed like normal relationship issues, but over time, it became clear that Phoenix was no longer in control of her own life. Ewan's behavior turned more controlling, and Phoenix, who had always been empathetic and caring, began apologizing for things that weren't her fault. She tried to accommodate him to ease his loneliness. Phoenix, once independent and driven, was now adjusting her life to suit his needs. She felt torn between her ambitions and her commitment to Ewan, not realizing that her independence was slowly being erased. Phoenix's friends and family saw nothing wrong. To them, Ewan was still the sweet, affectionate partner who had won their trust. But behind closed doors, Phoenix was feeling increasingly isolated and pressured. She tried to keep the peace, but as she compromised more and more, she started losing the sense of herself that made her so special. The Phoenix everyone knew, kind, ambitious, and independent, was slowly being replaced by someone consumed by guilt and the need to keep Ewan happy. What happens when the love you thought was unconditional starts to feel like a trap? Could Phoenix have escaped before it was too late? November 16th, 2024, started like any other day. Phoenix worked at the Strathaven Hotel, spreading her usual warmth and positivity. Her colleagues adored her, and guests often commented on how her kindness turned an ordinary day into something special. Phoenix had a unique gift for connecting with others, and her light made even the busiest shifts feel brighter. Meanwhile, Ewan spent the morning delivering his usual mail along his route, showing no signs that the day would take a fatal turn. He appeared calm and collected, but beneath the surface, his anger was simmering, ready to boil over. That evening, Phoenix returned home, looking forward to a quiet night in with Ewan. It should have been just another peaceful evening together, simple, relaxed, and filled with the comfort of shared time. Little did Phoenix know, the man she trusted, the one she had built a life with, was about to turn on her in the most brutal way imaginable. As she entered their flat, the door closed behind her, sealing her fate. Phoenix sent a text to her mother, Allison Spencer, letting her know she was home and having dinner with Ewan. It was a typical message, a routine check-in between mother and daughter. Phoenix likely expected the evening to be like all the others, just another quiet night of eating, chatting, and unwinding after a long day. However, the text Phoenix sent would be her last. As she walked into their shared apartment, she unknowingly walked straight into the final chapter of her life. Earlier in the day, Ewan had sent Phoenix a text complaining once again about her work schedule. But this time the tone felt sharper and more urgent. It was different, more insistent. Phoenix, as always, responded with an apology and reassured him that she'd be home soon to make things better. She didn't know that this seemingly innocuous text would be the last conversation she would ever have with him. By the time she walked into the flat, her life was already sealed. Could Phoenix have sensed the change in Ewan's tone? Did she know that something was wrong? Or was she simply walking into the unknown, unaware of the horrors awaiting her? The violence that unfolded that night was unfathomable. Ewan, in a fit of rage, attacked Phoenix, stabbing her 20 times with 3 separate knives. 10 of the wounds were inflicted directly to her face. But the brutality didn't stop there. Ewan strangled Phoenix with his hands, as if trying to erase all traces of the person she once was. When the violence finally ended, Phoenix was left with no chance of survival. After the attack, Ewan attempted to cover his tracks by trying to dismember Phoenix's body. He used the same knives he had just used in the murder to cut at her limbs and torso. But even more disturbing was what he did afterward. He spent the next hours acting as if nothing had happened, texting Phoenix's family, pretending to be her, and assuring them that she was fine. All the while, Phoenix's mutilated body lay hidden under a towel in their flat. It wasn't until the next day that the truth began to surface. Phoenix's co-workers grew concerned when she didn't show up for her shift. She was reliable and always stayed in contact. Her absence raised alarm bells. By then, the police had already begun piecing together the chilling details of what had happened. How could someone who claimed to love Phoenix do something so unforgivable? Was Ewan's calm demeanor the result of guilt or something much darker? Ewan's actions didn't end with the murder. In a final attempt to cover his tracks, he used Phoenix's phone to send text messages to her family, pretending she was still alive. He even went so far as to tell her mother that Phoenix was just tired and would text when she woke up. But the lies couldn't last forever. When Phoenix's absence became too obvious to ignore, her co-workers and family took action. Ewan's confession came hours later, but even then, he attempted to downplay his actions. He claimed that drugs and steroids were to blame, that he had snapped and didn't remember the details. But the evidence told a different story, one of cold calculation and emotional manipulation. The investigation revealed the truth. Ewan had spent days planning the murder, and his attempt to cover it up showed just how deeply he had prepared for this moment. Phoenix's family was left to process the horrifying reality that someone they trusted, someone they had welcomed into their lives, was responsible for their daughter's death. Ewan was arrested, and Phoenix's family, devastated but determined, began the painful process of grieving. They channeled their grief into action, working to raise awareness about domestic violence and supporting organizations that help victims escape abusive relationships. How can the grief of losing a loved one lead to action? What can we learn from Phoenix's story to ensure no one else has to suffer in silence? Phoenix's story didn't end with her tragic death. Her family made sure that her light continued to shine by supporting women's shelters and spreading awareness about emotional and physical abuse. Though her life was cut short, Phoenix's legacy lives on in the lives she touched, the hearts she changed, and the causes her family now supports in her honor. Phoenix was a symbol of kindness, strength, and resilience, qualities that continue to inspire her family and those who knew her. Her life may have been taken, but her legacy will never be forgotten. Phoenix's story is a powerful reminder of how important it is to recognize the warning signs in relationships. If you or someone you know is in an abusive situation, reach out for help. You are not alone, and there is always a way out. If you found Phoenix's story impactful, like and subscribe to keep the conversation going. Together, we can make sure her light never fades.